Clinton. My guest in this segment of the morning show is Julia Livingston. She is the executive director of Macon County CASA. Good morning, Julia.
Hi, Seth. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for making time for us. It's always good to have you in the studio. Macon County CASA in DeWitt County. Julia, what's the latest? What have you been working on?
Same old, same old. We are still recruiting new volunteers. We still have, about 36 children in DeWitt County that are waiting to be assigned a CASA advocate.
Okay.
So we would love to continue to get volunteers in from the community and get them trained, and then get them set onto a case with a kiddo or multiple children.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that process.
Yeah.
Someone's interested in becoming a CASA.
Yeah.
What do they need to do first? What's that first step, if you will?
Go to our website, which is maconcountycasa.org, and there is a volunteer application there. It probably takes you 10 minutes. It does ask you to input 3 non-family references. These are people that can attest to your character. And then once you complete that application, we contact you to lead you to the next steps. We'll have you fill out a background check. We will complete a volunteer interview with you. It's 1 hour, and you do that with 2 of our staff members. It's a set of questions. They are personal questions, but it really helps you to understand, the content that you'll be dealing with as a CASA advocate. And then once you complete all of that and you are successful in passing your background check, all of that, then we invite you to our training, which is a 6-week class, 1 day a week for 3 hours a day. And it teaches you everything you need to know about the child welfare system and how to be a CASA advocate.
Sure. When it comes to being a CASA advocate, just kind of remind us what that looks like. What is an advocate doing?
Yeah, so we are really the extra set of eyes and ears on the children for the JA judge here in DeWitt County. So that means we need to see the children in person 1 or 2 times a month. We need to visit them in their foster home or maybe on a visit with their biological parents and really learn, what is going on with that child. We may notice or learn about some deficiencies that they have or some needs that we can connect them with resources.
Okay.
It really is creating that relationship with the child. And as you become their trusted friend, they will really tell you things, they'll take the lead a lot of times on what it is that they need. And sometimes they'll even share things with you as you gain that relationship that they wouldn't share with anyone else.
Yeah. That's an aspect of things we really haven't taken a deep dive into, is that they don't have that person in their life they can share those things with. And so that CASA being there, I know we've talked about the consistency of that relationship, that kind of creates that trust. And, those are details that are probably vital to the future of that child and where they go next in terms of their case. How about that?
Absolutely. There is so much inconsistency that's going on in this child's life. I mean, typically on average, a child's in foster care for 2 years. And in that time, they are moving each year, probably 3 to 6 foster homes a year.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I never knew that.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And unfortunately, while they're moving homes, they're also moving schools, communities. I mean, there's so much that's different. So what's nice is when they have a CASA advocate, they know that CASA friend is going to be with them no matter where they go. And that really says something for a child. These kids have lost every bit of trust in adults they could have. The adults they could have trusted the most, their parents have let them down. And really, they continue to go through this cycle of being let down. And so that CASA friend, we really stress to that advocate, when you say you're going to do something for or with that kid, please follow through and do it, because we have kids. We know how much they will hold that over your head.
Oh, yeah.
And they remember all of the things, and that really goes towards the trust. So it is so important that we build that with them and we keep a hold of that trust.
One thing I'm wondering, does that mean a CASA needs to be mobile, not moving with, but as that child moves around, do they need to be able to get to where that child is at a particular point?
Absolutely. At times, when you have larger numbers of foster children in a community, DeWitt County, again, per capita, Macon County per capita, you are not going to have enough foster homes to house all of those children. And some children can be more difficult to foster than others. And so that does mean, some of DeWitt County's children, for instance, might be placed in Decatur or Maroa or Bloomington or Hayworth.
Okay.
And so, yes, we do ask that the volunteer go and see that child physically in person 1 or 2 times a month. And honestly, as they gain that relationship, they're going to want to. Many of our volunteers set they say every other Tuesday at 6:00, is my meeting with my kiddo. And you kind of work that with the schedule of the kid and with the schedule of the foster parents.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, the things you're doing with a child, what are you doing with a child? I mean, is it as simple as just sit down at a coffee table and talk? Are you going out to the community and doing things?
Yeah.
What do those relationships look like?
Just like any other relationship that you're building, at first it is going in person to see them at their foster home, just sitting with them, chatting. You might do something, bring a coloring book and crayons, bring a deck of cards, deck of Uno cards, but kid doesn't love Uno. Go to the backyard and push them on their swing. And then as the child trusts you and as the foster parents trust you, that can develop into, can we go grab dinner at McDonald's down the street? Or can I take them to the library to go check out some books? And so that relationship really develops again as, and things develop as your relationship develops.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned that piece about, have something to do at that first meeting. That just kind of breaks the ice
It
a
does.
little bit. So
it does. And then as you get to know them, as you know that Jenny loves Barbies, maybe you bring her a Barbie, and again, we're not asking for people's things. When we're asking you to be a CASA advocate, we're not saying come in and spend all your money on this child. That's not at all what we're asking. We're really asking for your time. But there might be an occasional, again, like a small thing, like a coloring book or a Barbie doll or things like that you might choose. It's not a necessity, but you might choose to get for them.
And those little things mean the world to kids, even just consistency in our parenting styles, the little things we do go so far. And for a child like that, I imagine it goes even farther.
Absolutely.
What I
mean? We had a volunteer who was assigned to a kiddo, and this was right before COVID. And she'd gotten to make a couple of visits with that kiddo, but her last physical visit was in February of that year. And she took, because it was February, she took a little Valentine Day package. So it had a little bag with some candy and a Valentine card that she had written out. So they ended up doing virtual visits, obviously, for a year. And then when they were able to get back to their in-person visits, the first thing that kiddo brought out to her was the Valentine card that she had given back in February, and he had kept that. And it meant so much to him. So, I mean, it is a true testament to just how much these little things mean to them.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask, what's the average age of a kiddo someone might be paired up with?
Yeah. So the kids that we get assigned actually are from birth to 21 years old. So there's no real average. I will say that as we've been assigned to kiddos in DeWitt County, we've had a lot of kiddos who have been under 12 years old.
Okay.
That's not to say that there aren't some teenagers out there. And certainly, as a volunteer comes in, you can sort of give some preferences, but it's really not like a shoe store, for instance. So we don't, it really depends on what kiddos we have assigned and available.
Right.
And ultimately, the volunteers just want to help. So usually they're not too terribly picky. They say, I just came to be a part of this to help a kid.
Yeah.
Sure. And so, yeah.
When it comes to those teen relationships, I'm kind of curious, are those a little tougher to break the ice and break through on? And what are the dynamics like in that relationship, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. So Seth, you don't have a teen yet, but I have a teen.
Right.
And I will say that, I often describe our CASA teenagers as, your typical teenager is difficult to deal with. I mean, even the best of them, they're just going through so many emotions. They've got hormones. They don't know what to do with themselves. But then when you have a teen who has been abused or neglected and they have trauma, I mean, that is like 10 times harder to sort of crack that nut, as they say, because they're even more probably sheltered,
Guarded.
in themselves. Yes. Very guarded. And so it really, again, just it's a connection. You got to build that connection. So if it's a 16-year-old boy, maybe you find out he's really into sports and robotics. And so you might talk a lot of like math and Legos and robotics with him, and NBA draft or whatever it is.
Okay.
Whereas a girl, she might be really into poetry, or writing and reading. And so that might be a way that you connect. One thing I might say, electronics are always the way. And so I do with teenagers. And I do hear a lot of our volunteers who have teenage kiddos say that they communicate with them via text a lot.
Mhm.
So it's really about meeting the child where they are.
Yeah.
That is more appropriate for a 16-year-old child than it would be for an 8-year-old
Yeah,
child. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, sure.
So you really just gauge where that child's at,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
create that relationship based on that.
Yeah, sure. And it's that relationship's all about the connection with the kid and just being there for them. But there is also, the aspect of, working with the legal system and doing some of those things. Briefly tell us about what that kind of looks like for a volunteer.
Yeah. So ultimately, our goal, and I really want to reinforce this, is to, get that child to a safe and permanent home. And those are two really important words, safe and permanent.
Mhm.
And that looks like lots of different things. But our first goal is to reunify them back with their biological parents,
Okay.
not back with the same parents who had the issues of why the children got removed from their homes, but with biological parents who have rehabilitated. They've done services, they have righted their wrongs per se, and they've figured out how to parent appropriately. And so in order for them to do that, we all really need to encourage those parents to get these services done.
Mhm.
Mom, please continue to go to your DV classes, please do your drug drops, try to make sure that you're staying clean. If it's environmental neglect, making sure that you're connecting them with different community resources who can help them, create a new environment for their children to come home to that's safe.
Okay.
And so we're really encouraging all of that. And so that is a part of the legal system. Every 6 months, you go back to court. Our CASA advocates write a court report to let the judge know how things are going in the child's life.
Mhm.
You get the chance to express concerns that you have about the kiddo or the foster parents or the biological parents.
Oh, okay.
And then you also have the chance to make a recommendation as to what you would recommend would happen next in the case.
Okay.
Some of that we are very beholden to the order of the case. So, you can't, for instance, terminate a parent's rights within the first 6 months. That's just not how it goes.
Right.
We have a court system and a legal system that has rules and regulations that we all have to follow.
Sure.
But those are steps and stages that you would take and you would recommend. And you'd never do that by yourself. You always do that with our staff member who's an advocate supervisor. They're a child welfare specialist, a professional, and they would help you the entire way.
Gotcha. Julia, I look at the clock. We need a timeout. What did I miss in that conversation you want to put out there for us?
No, that was great. I really delved into how you're helping the kiddos.
Yeah. How do they get a hold of you for more information?
So go to MaconCountyCASA.org, or you can email us at program@MaconCountyCASA.org.
Very good. Again, Julia Livingston is the executive director of Macon County CASA, my guest in studio. More to come on the morning show.
WHOW. Here at Love It Once More Thrift Store in Clinton, we're putting out our fall decor and our cooler weather clothes just in time for school. This is Connie reminding you to bring us your donations and to check out our Facebook page or DeWittDailyNews.com for our weekly sales.
This is Ryan Utterback with Utterback Real Estate. Don't get burned.
No worries. I have my SPF 1000.
It's time to list your house with us while the market's still hot.
Like picking wrapped jalapenos.
And that's why you're the other Ryan.
List your house today by clicking the Utterback Real Estate icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
You want to feel important.
You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong.
We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more.
When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it.
We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors.
From the lakeshores of Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota,
the fertile fields of Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa, to the wide open plains of North and South Dakota.
We are here for our hometowns.
And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Illinois Army National Guard, aired by the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station. Get WHOW programming live or on demand right there on your desktop, tablet, iPhone, or smartphone when you want it 24 hours a day. Just go to DeWittDailyNews.com. If you want to listen to live WHOW programming, just click the Listen Live icon. And if you want to hear one of your favorite WHOW programs when you want to, just click on the Audio on Demand icon. WHOW programming is there when you want it. Just another service from the big 1520 AM and 92.3 FM WHOW.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. My guest in studio today, Julia Livingston, is the executive director of Macon County CASA. My guest in studio for today. Julia, let's talk about a chance to support Macon County CASA. Your annual fundraising gala comes up in October. Tell us about this event. What's it all about?
Yeah, so this is our board-led fundraiser. It is our board's commitment to CASA to make sure that we can continue to really fund all of our efforts in Macon and DeWitt counties. So this Gatsby Gala is our third annual this year, and it is a 1920s themed event. And so you come dressed up in your 1920s attire. People have a lot of fun with it. But again, you don't have to feel pressured to dress up. You know, a simple dress will do ya. And we have live music by Capital Sound. We have catered food. We've got a silent auction. A lot of, we have a bar with like a signature drink. Lots of things to participate there at the event.
Awesome. This is October 15th.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's at the Mount Zion Convention Center at 6:00. So again, tickets are on sale right now. You can go to our website, which is MaconCountyCASA.org. Tickets are $75 a person. You can come as yourself, with as a couple, so 2 tickets, or a table of 8 actually. So a lot of businesses put together tables.
Oh, no kidding.
So that might be a really fun way for a business to contribute and participate.
Very good. What does the evening look like? I mean, how's it structured? What are you doing? How about some of those things?
Yeah. So, there's a lot of mingling at the beginning, of course. We have a program where we get the chance to tell you a bit about CASA, but we also know that that's not why people come specifically to. We've got an MC. So Sean Street from WAND and Melanie Schelling with State Farm in Decatur. They are our MCs this year.
Cool.
And so they will have a lot of, leading the event. We have a live auction. We do have sort of a call to action. So we really ask people to, delve into their pocketbooks and make a commitment to CASA and what we're doing.
It is a fundraiser after all.
It is a fundraiser. And then the silent auction. I mean, these packages that we have in the silent auction are amazing.
I wondered about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Across the couple of years, we've had a Blackhawks package where we've had like a signed jersey and tickets.
Oh, cool.
We've had tickets to NFL games, Illinois tickets to different football games. So a lot of really fun, packages that are there. Definitely get a lot of bang for your buck there while supporting CASA.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it comes up October 15th. Do you designate funding from this fundraiser, to specific areas of CASA year in and year out? And do you mind if I ask what you kind of typically bring in for this on a yearly basis?
Absolutely. So we've done it, like I said, for 3 years, and each year we've been able to increase how much we've made. Our goal this year is $50,000. Wow, and with 15 employees and now 2 counties, it's quite a lot to continue to raise for, and we're not dependent on any one funding stream, which I think is really important for community members to realize. We not only rely on these fundraisers, but we also, write different grants, and we get regular individual donations. And so these are all important ways really to fund every single part of what we do, to the individuals, to the office space, to the supplies that we need to train. All of those things go into this budget.
I was wondering, I don't think I asked this last year when we talked about this. How did you do this during the COVID times? What did you have to do for all that?
So we took 1 year not doing it in person in 2020. And that year we did a online campaign, and we called it Click it for CASA.
Okay.
And what we did, we actually got $15,000 in matching funds.
No kidding.
And so we were soliciting to the rest of the community to bring up in the other 15. So we made
Mm-hmm.
$30,000 even through COVID.
Wow, great.
So it was amazing. It was a great outreach. And, people were so giving and understanding that during that time, we just couldn't do things as we normally would.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Very good. So how far does this fundraiser go, though? You mentioned you've got several revenue streams, which is good. That's what a nonprofit wants.
Yeah.
How far does this fundraiser particularly go?
I mean, it's big. And I think that it leads even more importantly. So our fundraisers are actually roughly about, I would say 28 to 35% of our total budget.
Okay.
So that's a significant amount. Between this, we do the Playhouse raffle. We do other smaller fundraisers like the coffee crawl in the spring. And so all of these not only bring us funding, but awareness, which is equally important. I always feel like we're doing both things at the same time, recruiting volunteers and recruiting new funds.
I was going to say, do you find that this is a good awareness piece for folks? Like they come out for the fun and they learn about Macon County CASA?
Yeah, because, even if being a CASA advocate is not the volunteer role for you, I am going to guess that somebody that it would be a good volunteer role for you.
Right.
So if I can get you to my event and teach you about what it is that we're about and what we do, then that can arm you to go have a conversation with someone to say, these kids need help, and I think you'd be just the right person to do it.
Sure.
And you can give them a little bit of information that would lead them to us.
Julia, anything else on this event we haven't touched on today?
No, please go to MaconCountyCASA.org. We also have a Facebook event page, 2022 CASA Gatsby Gala. So you can go there for lots of information there too.
Very good. I've got about a minute still here with you, Julia. Anything else you want to mention this morning?
We do have 2 upcoming trainings for the end of 2022. So I want to encourage people to think about those.
Okay.
September 22nd, that is our next training that starts. It's on Thursdays for 6 weeks. And then November 10th, we have trainings. They're on Tuesdays and Thursdays and accelerated. So it's only 3.5 weeks instead of the 6
All
weeks.
right. Tell us how folks learn more about those.
Go to MaconCountyCASA.org and you can fill out that online application in 10 minutes.
Beautiful. Julia, always good to see you. Thanks for
Thank
making time for us. Julia Livingston is the executive director of Macon County CASA, my guest in studio for this morning. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network news on the way, a look at local news and that local weather forecast as well. It's all coming your way on the WHOW morning show, and be sure to catch us live online all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com. Network news is now.
WHOW.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. He calls it very unprecedented, and Texas Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw says the Biden Justice Department acted irresponsibly in the FBI's raid on former President Trump's Florida home at Mar-a-Lago.